Hello friends, family, total strangers. Today's video is kind of a big subject. It is van life fantasy versus van life reality. There is a lot of fantasy involved with people wanting to start the van life. They have this romantic vision of what it's going to be like living in a van and how much better their lives are going to be. But, yeah, let's get real. You're living in a van. There's nothing glamorous about it. There's nothing fantasy. Yeah, it's not a fantasy. It's awesome. I've really loved my time doing it, and I'm going to keep on doing it for the foreseeable future. But people get this really skewed idea of what it's going to be like for them living in a van. So yeah, I don't, this is the first video I've ever taken notes for. It's on the paycheck stub envelope. Not exactly a script, just some notes to keep me on track. So there is a giant bee right next to me. I guess that should go to my first fantasy. The first fantasy is I'm going to camp out in beautiful places and all the time, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to live in the wilderness. Well, living in the wilderness is great. I love it. Like, living outside it's what I need. It really is. Like, my life is a lot better living outside. However, if you didn't grow up camping and you didn't grow up outdoors and you've been living in a house your whole life, like a hermetically sealed little box, it's a different world out here. Like, there's, of course, bees, biting flies, mosquitoes. I've had mice in my van a couple of times. When you have a mouse in your house, like, it's a big house, that's one thing. When you have a mouse in your tiny van, waking you up in the middle of the night, like chewing something right under your head. Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible. I should have put that in my worst things about van life is mice. And, you know, if you're living outside, a lot of times your doors are open and they can just squeeze in, go to a dark spot during the day, and then once you turn out the light at night, they just come out and... So... bugs, mice, flies, all that stuff. It's just a reality of camping out and living outside. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome out here. I mean, I'm in a beautiful place right now. It's amazing, but it's all a trade. You're trading the comfort of being in an air-conditioned, house, sealed away from all these things. So yeah, I feel like that's fantasy number one. And also the idea that you're going to be camping out all the time. I've definitely stayed at some rest areas. Like, if you're traveling, especially if you're traveling for distance, you're not going to be staying at beautiful camps a lot of the times. You're just going to be staying at wherever you can stay at, whether it's Walmart parking lots. And nobody fantasizes about camping in a Walmart parking lot. Or at least if you do, you're a completely different animal than me. I'm pretty good about not doing the Walmarts. I usually will go out of my way to find a woodsy place to camp. I think I've had to stay at 2 Walmarts in my 2+ years as a van dweller. So yeah, I do avoid the Walmarts pretty good. Fantasy number 2 is I'm sick of my soul-crushing job, so I'm gonna live in a van. Well, you might have to work soul-crushing jobs working in a van too. So, granted, you have to do it less. You don't have to do it for the entire year because you don't need as much money. But boy, like Amazon is the one that stands out to me. 5 weeks at Amazon. I mean, and it's nice having that. Like, I'm only doing this for 5 weeks, so having that, like, I'm just doing this for 5 weeks, and then can move on. But that is probably the worst job I've ever had. And I think people fantasize like, oh, I'm going to work at Amazon and the beet harvest and maybe do some other short gig, and that's all I'll need for the year, and it's going to be so great. Wow, I could never imagine doing that Amazon job again. Once was enough. I might do a future video just talking about my Amazon experience. Some people go back to it year after year. I just don't know how. You're a different person than me. Okay, moving on. Fantasy number 3 is that I'll be hanging out with other nomads all the time. Other than the RTR, I've pretty much not at all. I think if you want to hang out with other nomads, you really have to be proactive. And you really have to be on a presence in social media and really try to be at meetups and everything. It hasn't been that big of a deal for me because I have friends all over the country, so I still get plenty of socialization. But yeah, it's you're probably, unless you really put in the work, you're probably not going to be hanging out with other nomads that often. So yeah. The fourth one that I wrote down was that, I'm going to be totally free. Like, I'm going to have this totally free lifestyle living in a van. But the truth is that you still have to make money. And so I would describe it as you're being half free. You're half free. Unless you have a pension or something, unless you have some income source, you're still, you're still a slave to money. You only need about half of what you used to need, but you still need money. And I think for a lot of us, you still need a cell phone signal. So I don't want to camp out somewhere 14 days without a signal. And that, I've just got too much going on in my, personal life and whatever. So, in a way, you're not totally free. I'm still tethered by a cell phone signal, and I'm tethered by having to work. I still have to work and do jobs and whatever. I will say, I'll go out for a day or two without a cell phone signal, and that's fine. I don't have a signal right here where I am right now. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and, rather than talk for 15 minutes, I'm going to show you my footage from last weekend, and then I'll continue. So this is the footage from the Green River Lakes, which is in the Wind River Range. It's about a 2.5 hour drive to this particular spot from Jackson. 17 miles on a crappy dirt road, but really worth it when you get there. So let me shoot you to that footage.
Hey, can you just stop?
This is Lower Green River Lake in the Wind Rivers. Pretty amazing. Meet Wilbur, the adventure dog. This is definitely one of my special places as well. Green River Lakes. This is pretty amazing. Again, first time I came here was in the 90s. Wilbur's about to eat the sausages, Andy. yeah, this is a really amazing place. I'm currently sitting on the beach, sitting in the water, in my chair. Pretty nice.
But stick close. I'll be back.
Okay, so back to it. I think this is a fantasy that not every van dweller has, but a lot of them have, is I'm going to start a YouTube channel and make a living from it. Yeah, you're probably not. You're probably not. Like, for every successful van channel there is out there, there's probably 10 or 20 that just never got anybody to watch to just quit. And yeah, I mean, it's not the most lucrative of business options. I mean, you can definitely make it if you have enough drive and you just find the right formula for you. But yeah, it's probably not realistic. I mean, maybe it is, but probably not. I haven't, as of now, I haven't made a cent for my channel. It's just been for fun, which I'm totally fine with. You know, I would love to make a living from my channel at some point, but that, yeah, I got some work to do to figure out how to make that happen. So, yeah, probably not. I think the next one is I'm going to live in a van and travel the rest of my life. That's probably not the case. You know, I think a lot of van dwellers do it for a short time, maybe a couple of years, a few years, and then they realize they want more than that. They want a family, or some people just miss that sense of home. Now, I think there are definitely people out there like Bob Wells who thrives in this environment, and I think I'm one of those as well. I mean, I'm not yearning at all for a place of my own. I'm pretty happy on the road, and I'm pretty happy traveling. But, you know, I think most people will burn out on it, you know, within a few years, which is why it's, I think, a terrible idea to like sell everything you own and move into a van. Like, put it in storage. Put it in storage. You know, you can find a state with a cheap storage unit, and just, since you're mobile, you can take it there and put it in storage. Because there's a good chance that you'll go back to a regular life. Maybe not. I mean, maybe you're one of those ones like me who's just like, this is the life for them. But yeah, plan for that. Maybe it isn't. I think my final fantasy that I feel people have is moving into a van is going to fix all my problems. Like, they build this whole fantasy about the lifestyle that, and I think when things in your life are crappy, you know, you're always looking at this fantasy scenario where it's all going to be better. And people have latched on to van dwelling for some reason as that as that thing. And don't get me wrong, a lot of phases of my life are better living in a van, and it's been great for me. But, you know, odds are it might fix an issue or two, but if you're completely unhappy in your life, odds are moving into a van, you're just going to carry those troubles and unhappinesses right into the van with you. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much that. Like, moving into a van isn't going to fix anything. I mean, it might mean that you get to take half the year off from work, but you know, you get to travel more, get some variety in your life. It's great, and for me, it's been awesome. But yeah, it's not going to fix everything, and it's going to create other problems. And I think I've mentioned this quite a bit before, but it's all about trade-offs. Van living is about trade-offs. Some things are better, some things are worse. It just depends for you what those better and worse things are, and how it's going to work out. It's worked out great for me, so I love it. And I just want to hit on a couple other things about the van life fantasy. Is that I think a lot of, there's a lot of fantasy channels out there, fantasy van channels as I see them. And I don't think a lot of them do it intentionally. I don't think they're trying to mislead people. It's just, you always want to show the best side of yourself. You always want to show people the best photographs of you. If it's a terrible photo, you don't want to show that to people. And also, I think it's it's partly you just don't. I think you want to show. A lot of people want to validate their own life choices. So I think it's human nature to do that. You want people around you to think that you're doing so great. So you make it seem great and you leave out the crappier parts. And, I've even found myself doing that as well. I did a video way back. I was outside of Sedona, Arizona. And I was camping and I was at this absolutely beautiful spot. I was right at this big cliff face. I was a 20-minute walk away from some amazing ruins and a 5-minute walk from a sweet canyon trailhead up into the woods and everything. And it was an awesome spot. And I did the video, and I went back afterwards and was like, I didn't show the fact that I was pretty much right off the road, this dirt road, and there was these tour jeeps going by like every 10 minutes, kicking up a cloud of dust and dousing my camp in dust. But again, life's all about trade-offs. So although is getting your camp strafed by dust every 10 minutes ideal? No. But I would rather be in an absolutely beautiful place right at the bottom of a cliff near some cliff dwellings and awesome hikes than out in the middle of a brown desert doing nothing by myself with no people around. Like, granted, I would love to have that beautiful cliff face and the no people, but that's just a reality. You got to make your choices. So that's... that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Me and my friend Andy did record a song as well at the Green River Lakes, so I'm going to probably show you that real quick.
You ready, bud?
I am indeed very almost ready.
Here we go. Come and put your arm around me like a circle around the sun. Won't you love me, mama, like an easy rider? Don't believe that I love you. What a fool I've been. Don't believe that I'm sinking, but what a hole I'm in. I've been stealing, pretty mama, don't you tell on me. Well, I'm stealing back to my same old used to be. Well, that woman I love, she's about to hide inside. Married girls that come and see me sometime. I don't believe that I love you. What a fool I've been. Don't believe that I'm sinking. What a hole I'm in. I've been stealing. Pretty mama, don't you tell on me. Well, I'm stealing back to my same old used to be. Put your arm around me like a circle around the sun. Won't you love me, mama, like an easy ride or done? I don't believe that I love you. What a fool I've been. Don't believe that I'm singing. What a hole I've been. Stealing, stealing. Pretty mama, don't you tell on me. Well, I'm stealing back to my same old used to be. That black fly may have, when I was swatting him, may have messed up the recording a little bit, but
We'll find out.
So yeah, that's pretty much my video. If there's something I missed, put it in the comments. Like whatever you think is like a fantasy that people have about van life that is not really accurate. Throw it in the comments. Yep, that's my video. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thanks much.